Hello and welcome to the Smells Like Infinite Sadness podcast. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. For those of you who don't know, I run the website, smellslikeinfinitesadness.com. It's a blog covering the best alternative rock from the 80s and 90s up to present day. I'm a proud middle-aged Gen Xer who is still obsessed with the music of his youth and loves to talk about it. And this week, my special guest is David J., best known as a bass player for goth legends Bauhaus, as well as a bassist and co-vocalist of post-punk icons Love and Rockets. Jay has also had an extensive and varied solo career, and he's set to release his upcoming double album entitled Missive to an Angel from the Halls of Infamy and Allur on October 18th via Glass Modern Records. It's an ambitious undertaking and features a host of guest collaborators, including Rose McGowan and Anton Newcomb of the Brian Jonestown Massacre, and he'll be celebrating its launch during an upcoming European and North American tour. In today's interview, Jay and I discuss the origins and creative process behind the new album, what fans can expect from the tour, as well as touching on the upcoming and very highly anticipated Bauhaus reunion show in Los Angeles next month. So sit back and enjoy the interview, and stay tuned after as we'll be playing a track off the new album. All right. Well, I guess my first question is, I think that your new album, Missive to an Angel from the Halls of Infamy and Allure, it feels like one of your most ambitious musical accomplishments to date, and that's saying quite a bit given your musical history. So I was curious, I guess, did you always intend for it to be a double album, or did it kind of expand naturally? How did that creative process come about?
Did it expand? No, I didn't. I thought it was going to be a single album. I thought it was going to be quite a short album, but it just, I kept writing and having the opportunity to record, and so it naturally expanded.
So I guess do you consider it a concept album, or it has a very thematic feel to it? So I was kind of curious the way it was structured.
It's like the last three albums have been accidental concept albums, in that I didn't set out with the intention to make a concept album, but it's how it just sort of worked out, and it's reflective of the way I write is kind of like my journal. You know, an album is my journal, and this is what's going on in my life. So if I'm honed in on a particular, I'm focused on a particular kind of subject, let's say, it comes out. You know, so it's not conscious. It's unconscious.
I know you've also got a very wide variety of collaborators on the album. You've got Anton Newcomb from Brian Jonestown Massacre. You've got Argento and Rose McGowan. So I was curious, did you kind of intend to have them involved from the start, or that kind of come about spontaneously?
No. Spontaneous combustion. I don't plan these things. It's just all natural evolution, and it's in a flow, you know, and it's just, we cross paths and it's the right time and things fall into place, and it's never forced and it's never really pushed. It's what happens in the flow, and you're in a zone and things just, fall into place. It's a good sign, I think, you know, when things happen like that. And I'm like that with everybody who plays on the record. It just naturally happens, and it's suggested by the song, the collaborators, and it's also serendipity. You know, I might write a song in transit to a certain place, and those people are there in that city, and I just call them up and ask if they're available, and they come in, and it's very free wheeling.
I think there's a very serene quality to the album. It's the songs are very stately. I think there's a very beautiful quality to it, and I think a lot of that is due to the use of violin throughout on songs like Mosaic and Baudelaire. So I was kind of curious what inspired you to use the instrument so liberally, and I believe it was played on the album by Carol Hollis.
A lot of it, yes. A lot of it is Carol. We've just been rehearsing together. I mean, he's one of the best violinists in the world. I'm honored to be collaborating with him. There are some other violinists that play on it, but the lion's share of the violin work is Carol Hollis.
It just kind of feels like almost like a second voice to the album, because it underpins so many of your songs.
Yeah, he's got a very sensitive disposition and ear, And even though there's a language barrier, I mean, we communicate through the language of the music. But he's a very intelligent man and very sensitive. And he picks up on the mood. And he'll ask me, what is the inspiration behind the song? Where did it come from? And sometimes I have to have somebody in the middle who can interpret and tell him, because, he's learning English, but his English is a lot better than my Czech. But he's just a very in tuned guy, and brilliant musician.
And one thing I really like on the album are the lyrics. I love them. Again, Pre-Existing Condition or Copper Level 7. There's a very sexual undercurrent to it, but also it's very tongue in cheek, and it almost feels like the album's like a collection of vignettes about various women. So I was curious if is any of this autobiographical or kind of poetic license or a bit of both?
It's totally autobiographical, I confess. As was the last album, which was all about women, actually, an eclipse of ships. But I'm narrowing the field on this one.
And I guess my favorite track in the album is the Allur. I like that one very much. It's got a very, very...
okay. I'm revisiting an old track. It was on an EP. And it fits in with it, with the theme, in that the Allur, I mean, a lot of it is, it's about me walking through the halls of Infamy and Allur, but the Allur is, is obviously, that's not me, it's somebody, I'm observing somebody who I don't particularly like, who is actually resident in the halls of Infamy more than Allur. And it's just expanding on that theme. And I just had this, it really came from talking to Rose McGowan about working on something together, which was a couple of years ago. And I thought, well, that song would really fit her agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent it to her, and she liked it a lot, and she related to it on a very personal level. And she's actually recording her own version of the song. I've heard some initial recordings that she's done, and I really like what she's doing with it. She's very perfectionist and has her own idea of how she wants it to eventually be. But during that process of her doing her own version, it sort of stirred the song up in my consciousness again. I thought I could revisit that, and maybe Rose could be part of it. So I just got her to do that end spoken word bit, which was done we weren't even in the same room together. She just did it on her phone. I said, just free flow, just riff on your experiences with those individuals, Weinstein, etc. And she did, and she sent it to me, and it was perfect. And I just flew it in, and I responded to it in the studio. So it makes a very nice coda, and I took for the backing the strings that play in the main section of the song, and I slowed them down, I put them in reverse, and put a load of reverb on them, took out the original signal, so it's just reverb, and just had that coming up underneath. It sounds very ominous, and I really like the effect of it. Like you said, very cinematic. That coda that comes in at the end. And I love her delivery. She says, the Allur must die.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very dramatic, very dramatic. And then that's when I got the idea of calling it, playing on the idea of the director's cut, but calling it the Starlet's cut. And so it's like the revenge of the Starlet, because she comes back and, it's like Kill Bill. She exacts her revenge on the guy who's being manipulating her and exploiting her.
Yeah, I definitely thought it had a Me Too connotation. So that's interesting how that came about. And
yeah,
and I know that the album is recorded in several different cities, including Prague, where you're based now. Were you influenced by the city during the recording, and how long have you been residing there now?
Oh yeah, I'm not living here. I mean, the rain seeped in. I mean, literally, it started raining, and I recorded that in the courtyard in the studio here, and that becomes the introductory sound that you hear on the title track. But it just has like a deep melancholic darkness. There's a certain kind of magic here. I love. It's truly gothic.
And I know that you also recorded at Beck Studios in Bellingham, England, where Bauhaus did Bela Lugosi's Dead. Did that feel strange to record after so many years? Did it bring back a lot of memories? What was it revisiting that?
Oh, my God. Yeah, absolutely. It was, again, that was magical. I mean, it's the first time I've been in the studio since I did my second album, Crocodile Tears and the Velvet Costa. And first time I've been there since that time, which was 1984. And it's pretty much the same, although it's been the guy, Dave Smith, who's taken it over, has done a lovely job. I mean, he's very respectful. Derek Tompkins was the original owner, the guy who built the studio, really. And but he's very conscious of the history and of Derek, and he's honoured all of that, and just sort of got him He's updated the equipment, but also there's a lot of analog gear in there. And he got a guy in, like an acoustics expert, because he thought he'd have to spend a lot of money on revamping it. But he got this guy in who did his thing, just checking out the acoustics for several hours. And he came back to Dave and he said, "Don't touch it." So whoever built this studio really knew what they were doing, because it is acoustically perfect. And that doesn't surprise me, because, I mean, Derek really did know, what he was doing and whereof he spoke, as it were. So it was great going back there. And it was, very nostalgic. And again, it's this part of this, like, freewheeling flow. I didn't plan to record there. I was just going to do a show there. I had this idea of, like, well, I'm playing in England. Maybe I could go revisit Beck and do a intimate concert in the recording studio and invite audience. But I thought, while I'm there, I might as well do some recording. So we did. So it was very spontaneous, and I'd written that song like a few days before when I was in Porto, Portugal, and again, it's very, like, just what was going on in my life and in my head. And it was very fresh. And I'd been absorbing a lot of bossa nova when I was in that area and really getting into that. And for the first time, like, working out what the hell those chords are that those guys play. And they're very complicated. You have to, like, make your hand, do some pretzel moves. But I got those chords down, and I just started playing this bossa nova thing with the lyric that I'd written. And it's funny because, I mean, Bela Lugosi's Dead is basically a bossa nova. The rhythm is bossa nova. So there's a nice kind of resonance there.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, but I guess it does have to have the same cadence as a bossa nova.
Yeah, it is a bossa nova.
Well, I guess on the flip side of that, you've got the song "No Flood Can Drown," and that was recorded entirely on an iPhone. And did you you decide to do that because you didn't feel that you could record it? You wanted to kind of keep it as that kind of sparse rendition, or was it kind of an experiment to see what it would be like to record with an iPhone, or how did that happen?
What story behind that song is, okay, so again, this is it's very serendipitous and it's spontaneous. And I was walking down the street in Encinitas, California, and I got it into my head that I need a Spanish guitar that was made in Spain, a classical guitar. It's brewing. I just get like a intuition, there's something coming up, and it needs this guitar. And I'm not kidding. I'm like on the same street, so I walk into the local music store, Moonlight Music, and I see this little diminutive Spanish guitar, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" And the guy said, "Well, it just came in." It was handmade in Barcelona in the 1960s. I haven't even put a price on it yet. And I picked it up, and it was magic. I said, I want it. And then I went home, and that song, I wrote that song on it. And then the same day, I wanted to record it. And there's a particular place that I love on this beach, Moonlight Beach, which is down the road from Moonlight Music, up on the rocks near the bluff. And I just went down there, and I recorded the song. I just written it and recorded it into my phone, and it has the crashing waves in the background. And I thought, well, that's the record. You know, I don't want to do any more with this. And it has a very significant meaning to me and my wife. It's to do with the Song of Songs, the Song of Solomon from the Bible. Something I'll be writing about in the next book that I'm going to bring out next memoir. I don't really want to elaborate on that beyond what I just said, but yeah, it's like bubbled up. And that was the right guitar for it, and it was a gift. It's a gift, you know. I think if you're receptive to these things, then the gifts come, you know. And then you give back as an artist. You give back with what you give, you know, on the record. So it's reciprocal. It's the flow, you know. It's all about the flow.
And you'll be taking the album on the road. You'll be doing some European dates in North America. I'm especially excited that you're coming to Austin because I can't wait to check out the show when you come here. But
yeah, well, we only have that one date at the moment, and it's just going to be me and the keyboard player who played on the album, Robert Vasicek, very good piano player. Originally, I was going to do a tour in December, but the Bauhaus gigs came up, and we have a date in December. So I thought, I'm going to put that put that back. So in the new year, I think I'll put a little US tour together. Very short, though.
What songs are you looking for most to playing live on your solo tour, or have you been working on when you're doing your rehearsals?
What, from the album?
Yes.
One I really like, and this was, and again, like revisiting, because it was the first track on my first album, Etiquette of Violence, song called I Hear Only Silence Now, which I've done another version, a very different version, and it's the last track on the new album. And I'm doing that live, and I'm doing it like I do it on the new record. Piano bass, basically. And aside from that, doing the title track, which is a key track, you know, Missive. And we've just been working through these songs tonight. Couple Level 7 I do. And I do Blue Eyes in the Green Room. Or as my friend Damien Youth rather wittily renamed it, Blue Balls in the Green Room. Which is most apropos. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know.
So there you go.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing that. And I know you mentioned the Bauhaus show. I just want to touch on that briefly. I know last year, of course, you celebrated the 40th anniversary with your tour with Peter Murphy, but was that kind of what inspired this reunion show in LA, or did it just kind of come about it's all the flow. It's the flow, man. And I think, because Peter and I were on the road, you know, we split into the two factions. So I'm out there with Peter, and that tour was pretty amazing. I mean, we did like 86 gigs. It was fantastic.
And we noticed that they were very young. I mean, the old guard was still there, and bless them, you know, thank God. We love them. But we didn't see them when we were playing because they tend to stand at the back. So who we were seeing was the younger contingent, who are teenagers, and those in their 20s, you know. And it's funny because it's like a throwback to when we first started, because they dress the same, they look the same to when we first started out. But they're like, they're kids, you know. They're like They're in their 20s. When we played in Russia, we were playing, the first 20 rows were teenage girls, 14 to 19, because we met a lot of them because they were thronging the theatre as we went in for the sound check, clutching pictures of us when we were a similar age. And so that was quite extraordinary. And it happened right across the world. So it's very gratifying, that this music relates to young people who've discovered it in a natural way. It's searching for something that is authentic. Because we talk to them afterwards. We talk to them. How did you find this? What does it mean to you? It's like real. They say it's real. This is real. It connects with us. And they're like they were in the early days, they're outsiders. They're kind of, those kids that are outsiders. And they hear something in this music that means that they're not alone. And that means so much. And it just goes like the torch is passed on. So there's that. And then Daniel and Kevin went out doing Pop Tone, which I thought was really good. Because I always like Tones on Tone. It was great to see those two out playing live. So it was sort of like these two, trains running on different tracks. And then, we come to an intersection, a chicane, as it were. And it collides. But it's not a crash. It's a melding together. And you become one train, and then you carry on.
Yeah.
Rather poetic analogy.
Well, it kind of feels, almost like your work in these bands. It's just as popular if it ever was, if not more so. I think Bauhaus feels so. It still feels very contemporary to me. It's
yeah. Well, it was crazy. When we announced the first two gigs, it sold out in a minute. Literally a minute. Which, it just blew our minds, Wow.
So any thought to some more dates besides just the ones in LA, or just kind of playing that close to the best right now and seeing where that leads?
It is the latter, but we're receptive to it. And, we're like long distance, we're getting on great. That might all change when we're in the same room together, but at the moment, it's great. We've actually agreed not to do any interviews about this or really talk about it. So I'm teetering on the cusp of reneging on the pact, as it were, here. So I've got to tread very carefully because I've agreed, to stay strong. Because we've had loads of people like Rolling Stone, all these big papers wanting to do big features and interview us and photos. And we're saying, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to play the gig, just want to focus on that. And so we're not doing that. So let's leave that there.
Fair enough. I think I appreciate you answering that question, though. And
yeah.
I guess just to wrap up, what else would you like to tell the fans as far as the new album is concerned and what to expect? I know you mentioned that you may be doing some more tour dates, but just as far as what to expect, anything else you want to say, any parting words about the album that you would like to mention?
Well, the basic touring party is me and Robert Masacek on the keyboards. And then we have different violinists coming in. We have a great violinist, Fiona Bryce, who plays with John Cale, Debo, and Elwood. She's going to join us. Well, Caro can't do that because he's always busy with different projects. But then he's going to join us in the UK. And then when I play in America, it'll be me and Robert and possibly an American violinist, although Carol tonight expressed his passionate desire to come over to America and play with me, which I'm very moved by. And if we can make that work, that would be great. So that's the basic touring band. And it'd just be me and Robert, like I said, in Austin. But I'm I really loved what we did in rehearsal tonight, and it's because it's like it's only three of us, so you have to sort of compensate for the absence of the instruments that were on the record. I mean, the accordion is featured quite a lot on the record, and that's not there. But I like that kind of challenge, you know. And so it's like, okay, so where do we take the songs? And we've taken them to a place that I'm really pleased with. And also going back to the whole back catalogue, and there's one cover which will be a bit of a surprise. I always like to throw in a bit of a curveball cover. It's actually two covers. I tell them that it's two covers. But the rest of it's my material, and it's come together really well. So very much looking forward to getting out there. I've got that itch to get out there. It's like when I haven't been on the road for a bit, I get this itch, and I need to scratch it. So I'll be doing that very soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Is there a song you would like me to include, a single off the album that you would like me to end the program with?
Let's go for Copper Level 7. And my friend Pierre, the mad French filmmaker, has just made a lovely video, which was for that song, which is going to be released on the release date, which is actually October the 18th. And what he's done is a bit of alchemy, really, because I shot some of this footage on my phone, and Jonette Napolitano, who was hanging out with me and the subject of the song, Terenzia.
Oh, really?
She shot Terenzia dancing in front of a fire in the middle of the desert. And then Pierre shot a fire that he built. And then I made these little paper dolls, a paper doll, which I had in the courtyard when I was recording the album, and filmed just being blown around by the wind willy-nilly. And that goes into that footage. I handed it all over to Pierre, and he's done a bit of alchemy, as I say, and made it into a wondrous, magical little movie, little video. And the band that I have on the record is fantastic. Annabelle Lee, who are based in LA, and it's Sheila E. and Richard E. Ellis, Ether Ellis. And it's a wonderful, 9-piece ensemble, really subtle jazz tinged, but with a trip hop element. They were on the Ninja Tune label originally. And fantastic musicians. And they're just featured on that one track. So, yeah, that all came together. And again, very spontaneous, not that much pre-planning, just going with the flow of the universe, man.
Very cool. I look forward to checking that out as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dave. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time out to talk to me today, and good luck with the tour and everything else.
Thanks, Michael. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Good night.
Thanks again to Dave for taking time out for this interview today. You can pre-order Missive to an Angel from the Halls of Infamy and Allur via Bandcamp at glassmodern.bandcamp.com/album/missive to an angel from the halls of infamy and allure. Yeah, I got it all out without messing it up. I'm proud of myself. And you can keep track of all things David J at davidjonline.com. And as promised, we're closing out today's episode with Copper Level 7 off the new album. So give it a listen, enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Copper Level 7 suits her well. Copper Level 7 suits her well. She bats her lashes and a hurricane starts in China. You're on your knees in the vestibule of the vagina. Slips on her stockings and initiates a coup d'etat. Dons her Louboutins and you're wishing on a star. Copper level 7 suits her well. Copper level 7 suits her well. With a grande vanilla latte derriere. She's reading Dostoevsky, what conditioning her hair. A marauder, she'll lick your lollipop. She's gone from blue to red, you hope the latter's not for stop. She said, you're such a gentleman. He said, gentleman thief. She said, that which is freely given cannot be purloined. And that which is freely given can often steal your heart. And in that moment, you were conjoined. Spiders of supernovas and particle colliders. She's a girl in the thrifted cake. She's a lady of a lake. Maybe your best, worst mistake, time will tell. Copper level 7 suits her well. Copper level 7 suits her well. Copper level 7 suits her well. Copper level 7